So now we will get started with some logistics. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about how the course will be run or conducted. Many of you may be familiar with this presentation from IBT, those of you that are assisting with IBT as well, but please bear with us as we'd like to give those who are not familiar with the structure of our courses an opportunity to just become familiar with them. So just to tell you a little bit about the way that our courses are designed, essentially you will be watching pre-recorded lectures by experts. So this will be the distance learning portion of our course. It will be much like the video you're watching today, only this will be for the actual course content. We also have local classrooms where you'll all hopefully be watching this video from right now, and this is the face-to-face portion of our course. You all then connect to your trainer virtually, usually at the end of each session. For this course, it might be throughout the session, it depends, you'll have to follow your day plan. And then once this is all concluded, you also have Vula as the course management platform, where you'll be interacting with each other, with us, and also be getting all of your course materials. But then one of the most important functions of Vula is that it will be where we do all of our assessments, our module assessments in terms of tests, but also our feedback will all be done via Vula. So you'll have the opportunity throughout the course to tell us what you think of the course, what we are doing well, what we are not doing so well. But again, I'll touch on that a little bit more later. One of the things that you will also notice on all of our slides is this little gray box at the bottom. This is a Creative Commons license stating that all of our content may be reused as long as it is accredited to HCA Bionet or the trainer who put the content together. Please do not just use our content, just confirm with us first, as some of our content for this course may be a little bit sensitive, as you'll be accessing, everybody will be accessing their local clusters, etc. So we don't want that information to fall into the wrong hands. So this is just an example of what the contact session layout will be. So as I've alluded to before, you will typically get a day plan. This day plan will be loaded into your staff resources folder. It will also be made available via the participant site, which you will all also be added to, just to track and monitor your classrooms and to track the progress of the course. But this is a general structure of a day plan. It instructs you exactly what to do and when to do it. So I've used this from IBT, our Introduction to Bioinformatics course, and usually what we instruct them to do is to log on to Adobe Connect at 10:20. They'll either do an introduction or they may not, and then they'll be watching the lecture videos, and then they'll start with their practical assignment. Your day plan may look a little bit different to this because this is an intermediate course, so we may have activities between lecture videos, but that again you'll get from the day plan. So please look at the day plan before you progress with any activities for that particular session or that particular module. And then I also just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about what the responsibilities of the TAs and the sysadmins are. For those of you again that have been involved with IBT, it's slightly different for this course, but still largely the same. So the responsibilities of the TA, for the TAs watching, is to answer queries about the lecture recordings and practical assignments. We will give you some tips and tricks for facilitation in the next session, but you will be our eyes and ears in the classroom, and you'll be the first point of contact should a participant have any difficulty. You will also then have to encourage your participants to ask questions via Adobe Connect during the live Q&A sessions, but also encourage them to post their questions on Vula forums if we did not get to answer their question or query, either at the live Q&A or just throughout the course in the local classroom. We will also need the TAs to record attendance. Attendance is vital, particularly to this course because it is very intermediate, and we'll make some templates available to you for this, and we'll touch on that in a later or an upcoming video as well. But then very vitally for the TA, you need to try to engage with the participants, but also make yourself available to be in the classroom as often as possible. And again, tips for engagement and facilitation will come in a later video. Now, the sysadmin responsibilities during the contact sessions are a little bit less than the TA, but essentially the sysadmin will be required to ensure that everything is running smoothly in terms of the technical aspect of the course. So you will then need to ensure that the projector is set up and ready. You will need to make sure that the Adobe Connect room is open. This can also be done by the TA, we don't mind, as long as you are able to connect. You will have to ensure that all the computers in your facility are working. But then very importantly for this course, you need to be available to troubleshoot any technical issues that may come up throughout the course. This is an essential component of this course, as we do expect quite a number of issues to potentially come up throughout the course. And you will really need to be there and really be a champion for your classroom, because you will be called on a lot. But it will be very rewarding in the end, we promise. And we will thank you for your contribution as well. So just to give you a little bit more information on Adobe Connect. So the URL for our meeting room is the one that I've put here in the slide. So it's meeting.uct.ac.za/intermediate_IBT/. And it will take you into an interface that looks a little bit like what you see to the left here. You will generally be given one login per classroom. The link you can just click on and it will take you straight into the room, but we want you to only have one connection per classroom. This is just to ensure that the site doesn't get overloaded during the Q&A. And the way that we want you to name your classroom is as we've given here. A quick example is UCT. Our classroom is called UCT, so we'll put UCT down. If your classroom is Zagazig Egypt, you'll put down Zagazig Egypt for the name, because they'll ask you to give a name. You will not have to await moderator approval. You will all be allowed to just access the room during the contact sessions. So please do not worry too much about needing to log in. You may need to install Adobe Connect so that it actually opens on your side, but this is generally not needed. It will open directly within your browser. But if you do have any problems, do alert us during the staff training so that we can have it sorted by the time the participants join next week. But one thing that we'd like you to just be aware of is that the meeting room will only be available during the contact session time or by prior arrangement with our team. Okay? So if you need the meeting room, perhaps you're trying to make up a class and you want to use the room for whatever reason, you will need to just arrange that with us. Now, just to give you a little bit of information on the Vula site. So this is what the Vula site will look like for those of you who may have accessed it already. The staff site is literally staff only. So I would just like to ask you all to never ever allow a participant to access the site or to see any of the content on the site. This is because this is where we will most likely be posting memos as answers to questions potentially. So it would be really detrimental to the learning of that participant if you allow them access to the site. But this will be your point of call if you have any questions. We often post a number of announcements. You can see here that on your staff site, I've already posted some announcements. So if you haven't seen those, go and take a look at them as soon as you can, because those were quite important. Now, there are various tools available to you on the staff site that we'd like you to use, the first of which is the announcement tool. If there's anything important that we need to communicate with you and need to communicate very quickly, we will post it in the announcements tool. The resources tool will be your sort of go-to point for almost everything. In the resources, we'll be posting memos, practical assignments, information for the classroom. If there's any additional guides, setup guides, manuals, that'll all go into that resources folder, and it will be structured so that it's broken up per session or per module. And you'll see that once you log in and you take a look at it. We have a question and discussion forum. It works exactly like a traditional forum. We'll post a series of topics or various forums into that question and discussion forum that will basically act as a Q&A tool for any of the content for any of the sessions, right? So if you ever have a question or an issue in your classroom that you'd like to bring to our attention, this is where you will post it. Please try to not email us directly unless absolutely necessary. Our inboxes, as you can imagine, are actually just going crazy right now. And we want to make sure that we attend to all of our classroom queries. So if you want us to see it and answer it, please post it in there. It will be our sort of mechanism of auditing ourselves as well, whether we've answered any of the questions or all of the questions, or whether any have been left unanswered. And then one of the last tools that I want to draw your attention to is the feedback tool over here. Now, the feedback tool will every now and then contain some surveys where we ask you how you are finding the lectures, how you're finding the content of the course, and for any other general questions that we may have that we would like some feedback from the staff. So please check that every now and then just to see whether anything has been posted. We will also prompt you when we post some feedback surveys, but the feedback from the staff for this iteration, particularly because it's a pilot, is going to be extremely vital, because it will help us understand what we did well and what we didn't do so well, so that we improve it for next year. Again, remember, this is a pilot run. Everything won't be running smoothly, so you need to communicate with us when things are not running the way that they are meant to run in your classrooms, so that we can try and help you, but also to improve it for next year, as I've said. So I just want to take just the last couple of minutes of this video to explain to you what the participants will need to do in order to get the course letter of completion. We will firstly be grading all of the module assessments. So they will need to obtain a minimum grade of 60% overall for all assessments to meet the first course requirement. They will need to have submitted at least 90% of the practical assignments, and we will check whether they have by the relevant handing dates. And then lastly, we would like them to attend as many contact sessions as possible. If they have done all of this, they will then obtain a letter of completion by the end of the course. Every now and then, there may also be some consolidation sessions, where every few weeks we would like to give participants a little bit of a mental breather. And then this will be some time in the classroom for the participants to come and for the TAs to come and just work on any of those exercises or content that the participants are really, really struggling with. But then for some others who may be comfortable with the content, it's essentially just to give them a breather so that we don't bombard them with too much content, especially since this is a very technical course. So we just like to end off with one short little exercise that I'd like you to do now. And this is to just think about what you can bring and what you can learn to the contact sessions for the staff. So please take a couple of minutes to read through this. I will read through it with you now, and then do this before continuing with the next video. So what we'd like you to do is to just take 5 minutes to write down 3 things that you are good at, you as the staff member, or 3 things that you have some experience in and that you can help others with. And then also 3 things that you would like to help or support with. And then after that 5 minutes, if you are not already sitting in a circle as a group, we'd like you to move your chair so that you are sitting in a circle. And then give each person an opportunity to share what they wrote down, right? To share what they are good at and what they are willing to help with. Once you have done that, this will be your reference document. If you are unsure what each person is willing to do or where they've agreed to help or support, this will be the document that you turn to in order to determine who's doing what and who is responsible for which issue or whatever it is that's happening in the classroom. So take a couple of seconds, or not a couple of seconds, take about 10 minutes to do that. And then once you've completed that, you'll come back to watch the second last video of the day.